I'm going to go and get Dinozo now, and we're going to do some long reining today. As you know, Dinozo does not like being left on his own, so I'm going to get all of his gear ready before I go and get him. As you can see, our banding didn't survive the night. Ooh, there's one still in. Never mind, we'll do it all again, shall we? Good boy.
Before we make a start, I'd just like to mention that only the very experienced should be teaching a young athletic horse like Dinozo to long rein. If you've never done it before, learn first on something that's a little bit quieter, got more experience in doing it, so they can help you learn. We always pick the feet out before we work them. We're aiming to get rid of any mud and stones and just check for general hoof condition and health. Remember the saying, no foot, no horse.
Boy. You always creep forward, don't you? When you're having your bridle done. I think he's making a bid for freedom. He lives out. I think he has enough freedom. I'll give him a spin on the lunge first, just to make sure he's not too fresh before we add a second line. And I've just got a leg strap off of a rug, and I attach it to one stirrup, and then it clips on to the other one, just holds him in place. I have shortened those so that they don't bash him on the bony elbow. Oh, should we go to do some lunging?
First going to lunge him, I can do this with 1 or 2 lines just to make sure he's not too fresh before we start long reining. And as you see there, when I want him to go more forward, I take a step towards him and raise the whip and use my voice asking for the trot.
You pass the stick behind you, and you can also twirl it so the lash is not hanging loose and you can't flick the horse by accident. So we're now going to introduce the second line and just remind him of what it feels like over his bottom. And of course, we've already gone back to doing this work indoors as well, where it's a little bit smaller and less space to run away from me. So we're coming through the stirrup today, and we'll go to the cavesson. We'll remind him how to long rein off the cavesson before we go back to the bit, because I don't want to mess his mouth up. I'm going to keep hold of that one while I get the other one all sorted. Just rub it all over him. He's so big. Now before he runs away, we'll get our knitting sorted. I'm just going to walk him around in a small circle to begin with, so you remind him what it feels like to have the line behind him, without the freedom of the whole school. Good boy.
Dinozo was nice and calm walking around on the circle with the line behind him. So we'll progress on to the long lines now. And I'll adopt a distance behind him that's safe. You'll see why in a little while. It's a long way from Dinozo's brain to his feet, so I have to make sure I'm really clear with my instructions and aids. Here we're going to make a change of hands, so I'm going to just use my right rein to ask him to turn. And then I quickly move across to the left side of him so you can see me in his left eye, and use my left rein to ask him to turn with my right rein, which becomes the outside rein, supporting. So here you can see that Dinozo, having been asked to go a bit more forward, got a little bit cheeky and lit up. That's not an ideal behaviour, but what was ideal was the distance away from him that I was, because there was no danger that I was going to get kicked. Just lengthen the outside rein and pop them onto a circle and just double lunge for a moment to settle them down. We're going to approach a serpentine here now, so I'm using my right rein to ask him to turn, my left rein supporting, then I move across into his left eyesight and I use my left rein to ask him to turn, and I can use my right rein, sometimes I shake it against the horse's side to push him round the turn rather than need too much inside rein to pull, and then finally turning him right again and into a halt transition. Do lots and lots of transitions.
Nice little serpentines at the end there. I'm just going to go into the big school now and do a little bit more creative work.
I'm just demonstrating a loop up the long side here with Denozo. You can be really creative with the patterns you choose once the horse has learnt the basics. And I've highlighted some of these that you can try over the video. I was always taught to treat your lunge lines or your long lines like two pieces of cotton to the horse's mouth. Although we're long lining off the cavesson here, the same applies. We want to use as minimal pressure as possible when asking for him to turn or stop. It's quite challenging when they come away from the track, away from any fences. So make sure that they are really understanding the aids with long lining before you do this. I've suggested using quarter line and centre line work. You'll find when you try this that coming down the centre line is really quite challenging. Keeping them straight involves really communicating through both long lines. That's what you want them to do. And keep them going forward is the key. If they go too slow, they can then end up getting very wobbly. Pop in lots of transitions as well. As I said, coming down the centre line is probably the most challenging thing in my opinion, and asking him to halt as per he would in a dressage test. And I'm going to go for a little bit of a fly.
Now look. Unclip it, run your stirrup up. Who's a good boy? Good boy.
Have another little lie on him today. He has been backed. I did back him earlier in the year, but he was turned away for a spell after having wolf teeth out. And he's grown very big since then. Quite a substantial horse for me. I'm only 5'1.5". Don't forget the half. So I'm just going to take my time before I get back on him.
Hello. Got my hat. Oh. Oh.
Thank you so much for watching this video today. If you have enjoyed watching it, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, hit that like button and share it with your friends. See you soon.